Welcome everyone to a Dolphin Communication Project Dolphin lesson. Today it's keeping the ocean quiet for whales. And we're very, very lucky to have Dr. Lindy with us. She is a scientist who has been studying underwater noise for 30 years. And she is a college professor and she helps organizations and policymakers, people in governments to understand what exactly underwater noise is, why it's a problem, and what we as scientists, elected officials, business owners, all of these people, what we can do to help. So with that, I'm going to remind anyone listening live that you're muted on purpose. So go ahead and use the chat to submit your questions. And if you're listening to a recording and you have questions, you can get a parent's permission and you can email us at Dolphin Communication Project or message us on social media, and we'll try and get you some more information. So with that, I will pass it over to you, Dr. Lindy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lindy Weilgart, and all right, good. All right, took a while. So it's important to know that whales and dolphins use hearing as their most important sense. They use it to find mates, to make a family, for finding food, for talking with other members of their group or their family, to avoid predators, to find their way around the ocean, and just basically to sense the ocean around them. And in the same way we use our eyes, whales use their ears. So it's like whales and dolphins are seeing with their ears, but they're using sound. So to them, flooding the ocean with noise is like shining a flashlight into our eyes, blinding us. You know, if there's a whole bunch of noise around and you're trying to listen to your friend, you can't. You're just the noise is preventing you from listening to what you want to be listening to. So sound travels very far and very fast underwater, unlike light. It can travel thousands of kilometers underwater, but on land it only travels 1 to 10 kilometers. And you might know that here, this dolphin, it's sending out these echolocation or biosonar clicks, and they detect this group of fish, and that causes the echoes to come back, and the dolphin can hear those and figure out what sort of fish and even how many and how big they are. So it's like seeing with sound. So now I'm gonna play some sounds of the main causes of noise in the ocean that's caused by humans. And the first one is a ship, a container ship, like a commercial ship. The next one is a seismic survey ship, and these are to detect oil and gas under the seafloor. And the last one is a Navy ship using sonar, and the sonar is to detect enemy submarines. So shipping, first of all. And then the seismic surveys. And that was just that one shot, right? That one big shot. And they're given every 10 seconds around the clock. You can imagine how fun that would be to listen to. And this is naval sonar. Right. So this shows an area of 10 square nautical miles, a pretty big area. And these colors show how loud the sound is. Red is really loud, blue is quiet. Here you have no finback whales. Finbacks make these calls to find mates. And here you don't have any whales calling, and none of those seismic shots that you hear, those really loud, they sound like gunshots. And here you have a bunch of singing finback whales. Each of these is a whale. And here you have that seismic survey, all those shots going off, and it pretty much just bleaches that whole area with noise. And here's this poor finback whale trying to sing in the midst of the seismic, and you can see he's just not having much luck getting heard. So when finback whales stop singing, the mates can't find each other, and that means there's no babies, and the population can't grow as much, at least. And so the masking, and what I was telling you about when you're trying to hear your friend and there's all this noise happening in the background, maybe a fire engine goes past, or a loud truck, or other people are talking really loudly, that's masking. It's drowning out the sounds that you want to hear. And this is a picture of like the Atlantic Ocean. This is the US, Florida up here. And this is how much, like pretty much half the Atlantic Ocean, whales could probably communicate over before we had motorized shipping with engines, like just sailboats. And now they can just communicate over this tiny dot because it's just too noisy, and whales can't talk as far to each other in that noisy background. And this just shows you what can happen with this naval sonar, where whales can bleed from their eyes, ears, heart, or brain. And so the effects of underwater noise are that the whales stop calling, and then they just finally give up and shut up. The whales leave areas that are important for them, like for feeding, because they're too noisy. They can't find each other to make a family. They can't find their food as well. They avoid noise, and then they migrate later than they should, which can ice and die. And then they get hit by ships more, or tangled in fishing gear more, because they can't hear as well. And they get so stressed, which causes them to get sick more and have fewer babies. So those are just some of the effects of underwater noise. And the solutions are to slow ships down, because when you slow them down, they're much less noisy. Even just a little bit causes them to be much less noisy, and keep ships away from areas where there's lots of whales. You can also make ships quieter in other ways. You can use less oil and gas, so you don't have to have those seismic survey ships that look for oil and gas in the ocean floor, causing those loud shots, and keep Navy ships using sonar away from whales. So, and what you can do is mainly you just buy less stuff. It's just everything that we buy is a burden to the planet, I believe. So, and also convince your friends and family to vote for leaders who care about the oceans and the environment, because it is your future. You can also write to politicians or representatives, political representatives. Walking, biking, using buses more than cars also uses less oil and gas, so you won't have as many those seismic surveys that are so loud. Keeping the heat or your air conditioning down in your house. Eating less or no meat, always good. and don't waste and use only reusable stuff. Don't do so much laundry and use clotheslines to dry and to recycle. So just to show you how much less stuff we all need, my family spent a year at sea on a 40-foot sailboat, and we studied the sounds sperm whales make. These are sperm whales here. It's a little calf, and here. And you can see us, there's somebody up on the crow's nest. We have a specially made boat for that, for studying whales. And my kids at the time were 5 years and 10 months old. Now they're 37 and 31. But at that time, we sailed 50,000 kilometers across the Pacific and back. And we, like a carry-on suitcase, we only had just a little bag of clothes. So you really do need less stuff than you think you do. These are my kids at the time, Benjamin and Stephanie. This is down below. And here is Stephanie on deck. She had to be harnessed at all times. You can't be falling overboard when you're at sea. And this is my son making a camera out of big telephoto lens out of garbage. That's a paper towel or a toilet paper roll. And this is Stephanie listening to some of the sperm whale clicks that are made underwater. So in summary, sound travels very far underwater, thousands of kilometers, and it travels very fast. Whales and dolphins can see with their ears, and they depend on sound for almost everything they need. The noise causes whales to stop calling, leave important areas. They can't find their food as well. They can't find each other to make families. They get stressed, so they can get sick more and have fewer babies, which is bad for the health of their population. So their numbers go down. So the solutions are to slow ships down, make them quieter, keep them away from whales, use less oil and gas, all the ways I mentioned there, and keep the Navy ships from using sonar away from whales. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Always great information and good to get it into the younger audience's ears and minds, and all of our young listeners can then share the information with their families. If you enjoyed this, there are more recorded dolphin lessons on our website or on YouTube if you prefer. But our website is dolphincommunicationproject.org. With your parents' permission, you can head there with your parents, look under the Knowledge Hub, and you'll find the webinars. This was a dolphin lesson, so we try and keep them a little bit shorter. Enough information to keep kids curious, but not too much like school. We also have deep dives that are more technical and longer, and we have a podcast called the Dolphin Pod. We also have on our website kids science activities. So these are free. You can tell your teachers, you can tell your parents, your aunts and uncles, anybody you want. Also under the Knowledge Hub, but there you look for kids science activities, and each of the little orange things is something that you can download. Games, lessons, word searches, things like that. And then if you're looking for a fun present or something out of the ordinary, you can look for different ways to support Dolphin Communication Project, and you can look for other videos and things that we're sharing online. So with that, we have time just for a couple of questions, and then we're going to let Dr. Lindy go. Dr. Lindy, you talked about how whales and dolphins use sound to see to get information about their environment. are the impacts of human-caused noise, is that impacting dolphins as well as whales? And is it impacting some species more than other species?
Very good question. In fact, I do believe that human-caused noise affects pretty much all marine and aquatic animals, because the way I explained how sound travels so efficiently underwater, that's why all these marine animals or aquatic animals are so adapted to sound, because it works so well underwater and travels very, very fast and far. And so animals have made use of this feature of sound in the water. So I would be hard pressed to find any animal that is actually deaf. I would say some of them are a little less sensitive than others, but they're all sensitive to some degree. And that goes from tiny plankton all the way up to whales, of course, but other invertebrates, mollusks, and scallops, and squid, even actually aquatic plants, sadly enough. I'm like, oh no, do I have to start worrying about plants now too? So seagrass have also been shown to be sensitive to sound. So I think it really is right through the whole underwater ecosystem, freshwater and marine even. And there are certain species, certain groups of animals that I would say are more sensitive. The whales and dolphins, definitely dolphins as sensitive as whales. The bigger whales are more low frequency sensitive and the dolphins more high, but all definitely whales and dolphins. Sharks hear very well. Many fish are incredibly, they depend on sound for finding mates as well. They have all these displays that they do before they find a mate and during for the whole mating ritual. So it's all acoustic. It's all based on sound. So yeah, more and more I did a whole report on sound impacts on just fish and invertebrates, because it's also whale food. I mean, I'm a whale scientist, but it is whale food too, and it's all part of the ecosystem. And in fact, the more you look, it's mainly invertebrates. Well, I mean, you can argue also whales too, but that are that help with ecosystem services. So actually causing the ocean to produce food and to feed the inhabitants, right? So these are ecosystem services like water filtrating, providing nutrients, and even those are affected by noise. There's studies that show those vital ecosystems keeping our oceans productive and healthy are also affected by noise.
Thank you. And then one last question, and then we'll end on those positive reminders of what kids can do. This question, I guess I'm going to interject my own thought first. I've often heard what I, not shockingly, consider a flawed argument that, oh, if humans are doing something to bother animals, the animals can just move, right? They can just get out of the way, and then humans can carry on and the animals can carry on somewhere else. This question reminded me of that. Is there anywhere in the ocean that is quiet? And by quiet, I think the person meant from human created noise, or are humans pretty much making noise everywhere now?
No, there are certainly quieter places. The southern hemisphere is quieter than the northern. And, and that's interestingly, we have the northern right whale and we have the southern right whale, and the southern right whale is doing a lot better than the northern right whale, North Atlantic right whale. That's could be for other reasons too, but it does imply that, it is quieter there. That's probably better for them. And one other solution is to still find those relatively quiet areas and keep them quiet for like an acoustic refuge. So just to preserve those areas while they're still quiet is one way to help animals. But of course, we absolutely have to make other areas quieter too. I mean, you can make that argument like with living near airports. Oh, look, they're living near airports. They must like the noise. Nobody likes the noise. It's just quieter. I mean, it's just cheaper. It's cheaper because nobody likes the noise, right? So, but even there, airlines didn't just say, well, they don't have to live there. They knew they had to make their engines quieter too, and indeed they became more efficient at the same time. So that's the real solution. You have to quiet the noise at source. Absolutely. You can also try to avoid areas that are particularly productive. There are some areas that are just teeming with life. Surely those should be avoided. But in general, the solution is just be quieter.
Be quieter. Lovely. And hopefully, the grown-ups in the room can start working toward that, and then the next generation can keep that work going. So a reminder to youngsters, you do have some power and some control when you're asking for your next holiday gift. You can see if you can find something used, right? See if you can ask for fewer things. Remember, recycling is not the only R. Reducing what you have and reusing what you have is important too. And then chat with people. Talk to your friends about it all, your family. Make this a normal thing to ask questions about and inquire and show people that you are going to talk about it. You're going to learn about it. So a big thank you to Dr. Lindy. We appreciate your time and all the information and taking those questions. And we hope to see everyone at another DCP webinar soon. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.